having an internal conversation. Should I hide my Star of David today? And, half of me says, what's wrong with you? Be proud and, don't succumb to the pressure. And the other half says, well, I'm going in to get some food. I don't want somebody spitting in my food because they see I'm wearing a Star of David. So, I have these internal conversations every single day. Sometimes I go to the gym and I have a hostage, Am Yisrael High band on my wrist here, which basically says that, the nation of Israel, the people of Israel live. This is what it says. Sometimes I'll turn it around because the gym is very crowded. I don't know who's in there. I don't know who's watching. And you see, based on what happened in New York, in DC last week, with those 2 kids that were killed, I don't know who's going to come up and hit me in the back of the head with a dumbbell. Maybe that's paranoid. Maybe maybe it's
I don't think
hyperbole, but I find myself doing that because I know I'm in an enclosed space, and I'm working out and there's people all around me. And I've never had to do that before in my life. I've never felt that way. But it is something that I do think about every single day now. It is a different mentality. And I don't know how many people feel like I do in that sense where, I saw something today that was very interesting. It said, like the Holocaust didn't happen, like in 1941. It started in 1933, right? So what happened during those 8 years between 1933 and 1941? This.
Mm-hmm.
That was the quote that I saw today. This is what happened with all what that we're seeing, the slow burn, right? So yeah, I find myself sometimes now sitting in, groups or crowds, watching a game or a concert, thinking to myself, I don't even know if I'm living in real life. I look around, I see everybody having a good time, and I think to myself, for all I know, I'm the Jew in the room, and if these people knew it, what would they think? So it's no longer just, living free in the United States and going about your life. Now you have to consider all of these things, because of this situation that's been allowed to fester by Western leaders and by Western legacy media.
Well, like I said in one of the prior episodes, I used to think, like, how did Hitler dupe an entire nation of Germany, like a respected, with a big history, very highly educated? And some nasty person put a comment like, oh, he wasn't duped. He saw the Jews for what they are.
All right, of course, we get that. Sure, everywhere, all the time. Jews are thrown out of everywhere all the time.
That becomes more acceptable to say. And you have this era of people that are way too confident in making statements because they're sure they're not going to get punched in the nose, where we came up in a time where you didn't make statements like,
right,
you didn't get away with that. You can say that to someone's face, fine, but you might get punched in the face. You will get punched in the face.
Right.
These guys are little keyboard warrior rats.